You're in your 40s. Maybe you've got a decent income, a mortgage you've been chipping away at for years, maybe a couple of kids and a car payment that never quite goes away. And somewhere deep in the back of your mind, there's this quiet but persistent feeling like you should be further along by now. Not dramatically behind, not in a crisis, just not where you imagined you'd be when your 40-year-old self was still a hypothetical person your 25-year-old self assumed would have it all figured out. And I think about this kind of thing constantly. My name is Threk, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, financial psychology, and why so many people arrive in their 40s with solid incomes and still feel financially fragile in ways they can't quite name. Because the mistakes people make in their 40s are not usually obvious. They're quiet, comfortable, sometimes even polite, and once you see them, you cannot unsee them. The first and honestly most common mistake is treating the 40s like there's still plenty of time to start being serious about retirement. There isn't, or at least not as much as the feeling suggests. Because here's the thing about compounding. It doesn't care about good intentions. It cares about years. Every year you delay meaningful retirement contributions in your 40s is a year you don't get back. And the math is genuinely uncomfortable. Someone who invests aggressively in their 30s will often have more at retirement than someone who invests twice as much but starts in their mid-40s. Time beats effort consistently. So if you're in your 40s still planning to get serious about retirement next year, that sentence deserves a second look, not with guilt, just with clarity. The second mistake is letting lifestyle inflation run unchecked for too long. The 40s are often the peak earning years, which sounds great until you realize it also means peak spending years. The house gets nicer, the vacations get longer, the kids need more, the car gets upgraded because, well, you've earned it. And yes, you have. Nobody is saying you shouldn't enjoy the fruits of years of hard work, but if every income increase gets fully absorbed into lifestyle before it reaches a savings account or investment portfolio, then income growth stops translating into wealth growth, and that gap between a great income and actual financial security is one of the more quietly devastating traps in personal finance. The third mistake is carrying too much expensive debt with a calm face. In your 40s, debt starts feeling normal. Car loans, mortgage, maybe a lingering student loan, maybe a home equity line that made sense at the time. And because everyone around you seems to be carrying similar loads, it doesn't register as a problem. But debt in your 40s has a different weight than debt in your 20s. In your 20s, debt is almost expected. In your 40s, it starts eating into the time and money you need for retirement prep. High-interest debt especially, credit cards, personal loans, can quietly consume what should be going into your future. Paying minimum balances while making good money is one of those slow financial mistakes that rarely feels like a crisis until suddenly it does. The fourth mistake is not protecting income aggressively enough. This one almost never comes up in personal finance conversations, which is honestly wild to me. In your 40s, your income is probably your biggest financial asset, and most people have very little protecting it. Disability insurance, life insurance that's actually sized correctly, an emergency fund big enough to absorb a real disruption. These are not exciting purchases. Nobody talks about their disability policy at a dinner party, but the financial impact of losing income in your 40s without protection can undo years of progress almost immediately. The fifth mistake, and maybe the most emotionally loaded one, is using money to manage stress instead of to build security. The 40s come with pressure, career, family, aging parents, health. And money has this seductive quality where spending it can temporarily feel like control. A nice dinner feels like a reward. A spontaneous weekend trip feels like relief. And it is, genuinely. But if spending becomes the default response to stress, the savings rate quietly suffers and the pattern becomes hard to break. The people who navigate their 40s best financially are usually not the ones who earn the most. They're the ones who noticed the emotional spending loop early and found ways to create security instead of just comfort. So what does all of this actually mean? It means your 40s are not a second chance at your 20s. They are a deadline disguised as a comfortable chapter. The income is real, the lifestyle is real, and the window to seriously change your financial trajectory is also real, but it is not unlimited. You do not need to panic. You do not need to become a Spartan overnight, but you do need to look at the quiet habits, the slow debt, the delayed retirement contributions, and the emotional spending patterns with genuinely honest eyes. Because the people who retire with dignity and options in their 60s are usually not the ones who made perfect decisions their whole life. They're the ones who woke up in their 40s, saw the honest picture, and made a few key adjustments before the window narrowed too much. That adjustment is still available. The question is whether you're going to use it.